Hey, it's Juck.
I don't think he's going to throw the ball as much as he thinks he's going to throw the ball now that Chip Kelly's on board. And I'm happy about that. More quarterback.
The truth is, Ryan Day has made a change philosophically, but it's none of those.
You all know who wins. LSU is the drunkest fan base in the country.
And welcome into Juck on Bucks. Appreciate you all so much for joining me on a Wednesday morning. It is a game week. Cannot wait. Buckeyes will be back in action this Saturday. Finally, please do not ever do this to us again with a bye week so early. When I looked at the schedule early on and saw this thing was coming, I didn't think much of it. Whatever, no big deal. It was grueling. It was absolutely grueling to get in 2 weeks and then just be kind of shut down. But we're almost halfway there. Last night, Ryan Day, Chip Kelly, Will Howard spoke, and Dillon Davis was there, obviously, as he always is. I think he even got his question asked, and Dillon is going to join us live this morning, so you guys will be able to pepper him with some questions like I always do. Buckeyes preparing for Marshall, and that'll be Fox's Big Noon Kickoff. For me personally, Big Noon Kickoff has been kind of a double-edged sword. Like the last, 7 years or so before Big Noon Kickoff came about, that 12 o'clock time slot of games was very Wake Forest-y, Northwestern-y. It just had some garbage games of the Big Ten, mid-range ACC games, and it just sucked. So I love putting that good game on at noon, and by Fox doing that, other networks followed suit, and now the slate's kind of balanced out throughout the day. We got some big games at noon again, 3:30, always a banger. And then, of course, we got our evening games. But the team we root for, whether you're a Buckeye fan or another Big Ten fan, is a good team. So generally, we get put on that noon game when it's a big game, or even, a game like Marshall. During the Urban era, so many of our big-time games were on at night. And that was awesome. That was awesome for recruiting. That was awesome for the environment. I wish there was some more balance. They've ruined Penn State's whiteout. Penn State has to play their whiteout now, all their big opponent games at noon. So now their whiteout is relegated to a second-class opponent, which, that sucks for them. I probably shouldn't whine about it because it means we usually won't play in the whiteout. But the atmosphere in the shoe, totally different at night. We talk about the day atmosphere sometimes being a little lackluster. And for recruiting, that's important. Reason I bring this up is because Ohio State put this picture out yesterday on their Twitter, and this is what it is. Now, this is the date of the Iowa game, and I think they're telling us that this is a night game. It's definitely not anything to do with uniforms because they've already announced that the uniforms are going to be gray for that day. So that's going to be a big recruiting weekend. If we can have that as a night game, that'll be really good. And there is a new official visitor penciled in, Damola Ajiduhan. And I actually got a comment from a listener when I brought him up the other day. His name is Damola, and he thought that I was calling him. It's a fairly common name where he's from in Nigeria. A ton of athletes with U.S. roots from there. But this guy's the first one he's come across with his name. So that was pretty cool. Shout out to you, Damola. If you want to take a look at Damola, he's an offensive tackle from Georgia, and he is currently committed to Georgia Tech. But we offered him in August. We offered him just recently. He committed in August to Georgia Tech. Him and JB Shabazz, the other guy that we just offered. I did a video on those two, and you can go back and check those on the timeline. Damola looks good. Really good looking prospect, despite being he's a 3-star prospect for 247. He's a 4-star in the composite. The composite got him right. 247 has missed here. This dude's a stud for sure. But I have heard that the financial compensation package that he's looking for, not really in line with what the Buckeyes are currently wanting to pay. So they're going to try to show him in Columbus that he's going to make more money and be a better football player, get drafted higher. However, Georgia's after him as well. So I don't know. But did you guys see this new legislation yesterday? So the Georgia governor signed a new bill into law, and the bill makes it illegal for the NCAA to go after universities for paying money to athletes, which that's going to be legalized all throughout the country anyway. But I was wondering, because we've seen Georgia Tech just kind of go all in on NIL right now in this class of 2025. We saw him with Josh Petty, paying him $800,000 a year, reported by On3. We're seeing it with Damola. They signed an amazing offensive line class, which we went over the other day. But do you think maybe they caught wind of this, and this might actually be coming from Georgia Tech making an investment in football? I don't know. Just a thought I had. I don't know who their big boosters are. It's just kind of came out of nowhere. But anyway, Bucks play Marshall. When I think Marshall, I think Randy Moss. And I think it's pretty fitting, as the Buckeyes have the new age Randy Moss on the team, that his first year with the Buckeyes, he is going to play Marshall. Pretty cool. I know that strategically opening up a season like this, like Michigan did last year, with 3 cupcakes, ultimately is a good thing in the pursuit of a national championship, particularly when you're going into a big run at the end of the season. If Ohio State does win the national championship this year, I'm worried that everybody in college football is going to take notice that the last 2 national championships started off with 3 tremendously bad teams and schedule accordingly. If that happens, we're in for absolute dog crap when we start the season every year, and I hate it. We know Ohio State didn't plan this, right? They had Washington originally scheduled. Washington joins the Big Ten. So it wasn't planned. Obviously, Washington, that would have been not a great matchup this year anyway, but how could they have known? Heck, they were in the national championship last year. It concerns me, and I really hope that the committee at the end of the year really rewards people who went out and challenged themselves and played big time out of conference games early on in the season. But when you look at this schedule with the Buckeyes, man, we're talking week 1, Akron, week 2, Western Michigan, week 3 bye, week 4, Marshall, 5 weeks into the season before they play a decent game at Michigan State, which is pretty staggering. And I don't know if all my years of watching the Buckeyes, I've ever dealt with this, like 5 weeks in before we get a decent game. It sucks, man. It really does. But again, ultimately, probably a good thing long-term for the national championship pursuit. By the way, next week's Michigan State game will be a night game, and that'll be on Peacock, the streaming service. And I have it because I ordered it last year for a Buckeyes game and forgot to cancel it, which is exactly what they're banking on. So I'll make sure to remind you guys, if you order it, to cancel that sucker after it. But let's break down that opponent. Marshall from Huntington, West Virginia, 140 miles away. This will be the 3rd all-time meeting between Ohio State and Marshall. The first one was 2004, and that was the classic Mike Nugent field goal from 55 yards on the final play of the game to win it. That kick was supposed to be 49. We had a penalty, moved it back to, was it 49? Yeah, 49, moved it back to like 54 and a half. And man, it was scary. But Nuge was a legend, and pretty awesome to have a legend as a kicker. I think that's something pretty unique. I like him. The fact that he got to come and play in the NFL, and it was just awesome. He's a great guy. He was a captain on the team as a kicker. Just really cool. Buckeyes and the Herd met again in 2010. Ohio State won 45-7. Last year, the Herd were 6-7, 3-5 in the Sun Belt Conference. They're coached by Charlie Huff. He was an assistant at Alabama and Penn State, a pretty well-respected guy who tried to get some Ohio State transfers yesterday at his press conference. I'll play that later. But pretty funny guy, got a good sense of humor. He said they got a place down there with some biscuits, and they can have all the biscuits they want if the fast Ohio State guys want to transfer down to Marshall. So Marshall 1-1 on the season. Started off with a big win against Stony Brook. They damn near shut Stony Brook out 45-3. The following week, they lost to Virginia Tech 31-14, but it was close at halftime, 10-7. And last year, Marshall beat an awful Virginia Tech team. They were actually the favorite in that game. They are their quarterback's name is Stone Earl. He's a transfer from North Texas. And against Virginia Tech, Stone was 13 for 36, 129 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. I think Stone's in for a long day against this Buckeye defense. They got a pretty solid running back, A.J. Turner. Had an 80-yard touchdown against Virginia Tech and another 80-yarder against Stony Brook and a 60-yarder against Virginia Tech. So he's definitely a dude with some skill. 222 yards on just 14 carries so far this season. The Marshall defense gave up 208 yards rushing to Virginia Tech, which is not a very good rushing attack. So we're going to look for the Buckeyes to pretty much have their way on the ground. Players to look out for, they got a really good defensive end named Mike Green, 3.5 sacks already. 2 linebackers that are pretty much stat sheet stuffers with Watson and Yates, both with 20 tackles on the season. So a couple of good linebackers, a good defensive end, but the Buckeyes are looking to have a big rushing game against them. And these guys, this defense for the Bucks, still not giving up a touchdown yet on the season, coming off a shutout. Did not have any turnovers last week, so they're going to try to get the turnovers up this week and go for another game, hopefully with a shutout, but really trying to keep that no touchdown streak alive, which would be really, really cool. So we have got our buddy Dillon Davis going to be joining us any minute now. And we got some things to go over with Dillon about the press conference last night. I really want to get Dillon's opinion on Fox and the night game stuff. He was talking to me about that. But yesterday we got to hear from Ryan Day, Chip Kelly, Will Howard, and Ryan Day was very serious, extremely serious, no smiles. I don't know if he's just totally locked in or he had a bad day, but they couldn't get a crack out of him. There is a Big Ten. Matt Rule was talking in his press conference. There's a Big Ten text chain going on, and all the Big Ten coaches are involved in this text chain. So they asked Ryan Day about this text chain, and they asked him who was the funniest to try to get a crack out of him. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Asked him about Caden McDonald and Hero Kanu, obviously being the next guys up on the defensive line. And then they were talking about the next guys. And I found it interesting. He brought up Tywone Malone, Will Smith, and then Jason Moore third. Now, we had heard a whole lot about Jason Moore coming into the season in both spring and and preseason camp. Jason Moore, 6'6", like 260, just a kind of a physical freak. It doesn't seem like things are moving the way that we had expected with Jason Moore, but interested to hear Dillon's take on that as well, as Dill looks to be a little bit late. Not like him. Anyway, Tim May referenced Quinn Ewers, TVD, Wisconsin's quarterback, getting injured, and he was talking about Ryan Day and his, what's his plan on getting a backup quarterback ready. I feel like Ryan Day did a really good job last week against Western, getting the quarterbacks in early. I mean, he played 4, which I don't think was necessary. Probably would have been best to get all those snaps. I think Keenholz only had 3 snaps, but probably would have been best to get those to Julian. But I think he did a really good job when he got Will out, getting Devin in, getting him some work, and then getting Julian some work. But anyhow, we're going to wait. We're going to move on, and we'll see if Dillon joins us later. But last year in the Big Ten, there was not a lot to talk about. Yesterday, I had Max Torres on from Scoop Duck. That's Oregon's On 3. And just thinking back to last year, when you're talking Big Ten, we had Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State as quality teams, and that was it. We went into the season, and we waited for those 3 to play that round robin, right? That was all there was. And then we look at the Big Ten this year, and you got Ohio State, you got Oregon, you got Penn State, USC playing good, Nebraska ranked, Illinois ranked, Michigan. The Michigan story is incredibly compelling. So is Indiana. Just a big pile of entertainment. Like, it's the most exciting Big Ten season we've ever had. And this Friday starts the slate of Big Ten Friday night games, which is a controversial thing. This is something that has been tried before. The Big Ten teams fought against it very hardly. They did not want this, particularly Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan flat out said, we're not doing it. So every time they've tried before, they've won this fight. This time they lost. The schools don't want this, but the money is now too big to turn it down from the Big Ten. So we're going to have Big Ten games on Friday night. They don't want it because high school football goes on in these states on Friday night, and they want to respect the high schools. So those athletic departments depend on those 6-7 home game or 5-6 home games they get to kind of function. You know, that gate is their whole thing, and the concessions, they really need that. Additionally, if you're in a state like Nebraska or Wisconsin and you got a Badger game or a Husker game, everybody who might have gone to a high school football game that night, you know, they're going to be watching the game or even going to the game. So that really sucks. Also, logistically, it's kind of a nightmare if you're having a 7:30 night game on campus. Everything that comes along with 100,000 people coming to the game, people tailgating while you're trying to, you know, it's a school day. So definitely something that they really hated, but they're going on with it. And we start off this Friday with a banger as Nebraska is going to host Illinois, which, you know, just hearing that preseason time doesn't sound like a great game. But Illinois went into Kansas, upset Kansas. They won against a MAC team and another not so good team. Nebraska, of course, how they've started. We're talking a really good game now. We've got two ranked teams. Nebraska 23rd, Illinois 24th. And that's going to be a banger of a game to get us started. Also on Friday, we've got Syracuse and Kyle McCord. Who do they got? They're taking on somebody too. Can't see it, but McCord's on if that one's not good. So that'll be pretty fun. But the way that they are taking, the Buckeyes aren't ever going to be on this, right? So this Friday night game, the way they're going about this is the fourth draft pick. You've heard about the draft picks and how they choose what networks get what game. So this is the fourth draft pick. CBS or Big Noon Kickoff gets the first Big Ten draft pick. So the best Big Ten game of the week goes to one of those two. And then the other one gets the second. NBC gets the third pick, and then Fox gets the fourth pick. So this is the fourth best Big Ten game of the week. And I don't think that Ohio State will ever be the fourth best game. You know, it's just, even when you play a team like Marshall, as Ohio State, you can see they're getting the big noon kickoff. So they're always going to be, you know, first, second, or third pick by one of these networks, which is why we're not going to see, when you look at this schedule, like Michigan doesn't show up on there either. Neither does Penn State. But the energy this Friday in Nebraska, going to be wild, getting ranked again for the first time in forever. Dylan Raiola, but it's not just him. They got some receivers. They got some studs on the defense. Their running backs are really good. The other day, I just watched a 10-minute clip on their new facility that they just built. I've watched a lot of these videos on the facilities, the new one at Georgia, that's about 2 years old, 2 or 3 years old now. The one they just built at Auburn, which is fantastic. I like it better than Georgia's myself. But this Nebraska one might be my favorite ever. $180 million facility. It's got everything. It's cool as hell. They're kicking butt in NIL. I talked yesterday about them getting David Sanders with Max Torres. Just getting David Sanders to go out to Nebraska, like that shocked a lot of people. And you can just kind of see this momentum building in recruiting. And I do think that they are on the up and up. We're seeing things build for sure. And Friday is another step with a standalone game nationally. Everybody's going to be watching Nebraska, bringing in Illinois. Nebraska is going to be an 8.5-point favorite. This Illinois team, they're pretty solid. In Illinois, their fans think that if Brett Bielema can't win here, then nobody can. They are very high on Brett Bielema now. I didn't really think that they thought of him like that, but that's the way they feel. I've watched a 247 guy talk about just how high the Illinois fans are on Bielema. It was pretty impressive to go in and beat Kansas. I was not expecting that at all. So this should be a game. September 27th, we've got Washington heading to Rutgers. That'll be the third all-time meeting between those two. Rutgers was a very trendy team this year to bet the over. I think a lot of people were thinking Rutgers was going to be pretty good. I'm one of them. I do like what Schiano's got going on there. It's pretty interesting how he seems to be the only guy who can ever get Rutgers to play good. But when you look at this 2025 recruiting class, it's awesome. their recruiting class is nowhere near what you would expect from a Rutgers team. He's really got things moving in a positive direction. October 4th, Michigan State travels to Oregon, and that's a game when I looked at this in the summer, did not look so hot and was probably going to be a huge blowout. Just the second time these guys have ever played. But now that we've watched Oregon a little bit, and now that we've seen Michigan State, and we'll see how they do against the Buckeyes next week, Aiden Childs, their quarterback, this dude's electric. I mean, he is he'll throw 3 amazing touchdowns and 3 terrible picks, but this dude's a gunslinger. And they got a hell of a wide receiver too. There's a chance that they could go out there to Oregon and play a pretty decent game. So that one will be one we'll definitely watch. October 11th, Northwestern at Maryland. Yeah, I'm going to go watch a high school game that night. October 18th, Oregon at Purdue. This is one that some people were thinking Oregon might stumble here. This might be the one where Oregon stumbles on the road in the Big Ten, disregarding Purdue. But after watching Notre Dame come out to, boy, the first time I saw that score, I think it was like 31-0, Notre Dame over Purdue, and they ended up winning 66-7 maybe. We'll see if Oregon can outscore Notre Dame. 66 points. Notre Dame, that offense, not very good. So that'll be pretty interesting. And October 25th, for a real banger, if Rutgers can keep it up, Rutgers at USC, the first meeting ever between the two of them. And if Rutgers is handling their business, that could be a consequential game in the Big Ten race. November 8th, Iowa at UCLA. And UCLA is garbage. Indiana just destroyed them, 41-17 or something. And they are back-to-back. Iowa, UCLA, and then UCLA at Washington. So I'm absolutely not interested in either one of those. And the final Friday night Big Ten game, Purdue at Michigan State. No thanks. So all in all, kind of a mess slate with a couple of really good games sprinkled in. And I think we've learned that the fourth Big Ten game of the week is usually not going to be a very compelling matchup, even though the Big Ten goes a lot deeper than it used to. Good. Could you imagine this last year? The Big Ten power rankings for, according to FanDuel on the gambling lines right now, Ohio State number 1, Oregon number 2, Penn State number 3, USC number 4, Nebraska number 5, Michigan number 6, Indiana number 7, Iowa number 8, Wisconsin number 9, Rutgers number 10, and the JUCK on Bucks power ranking, Ohio State number 1, Oregon number 2. They showed me enough on Saturday to jump back over Penn State and USC, where I had them below them. Number 3, Penn State. Number 4, USC. Number 5, I've got Nebraska. A lot of speculation that Nebraska might come into Ohio State for that matchup. 7-0. I think that they will. All they got to do is get through Illinois, Rutgers, and my number 6 team, Indiana. Kurt Cignetti, man. This guy comes in from James Madison. He's flipped this program on its head. He brought in a bunch of guys from James Madison. So these guys all know what they're doing. They know his system. They know each other. Brought his coaches with them as well, and just plopped this sucker down in Bloomington, Indiana. It's a totally different program overnight. They're also investing in the program. They built for the first time the team a dedicated football-only weight room. So they're really all in on Cignetti. Guy comes in, calls out Ohio State, calls out Michigan, which I found hilarious and kind of cool to get the Indiana fans involved. Like, this is the losingest program, one of the I don't know, maybe like the 5 FBS losingest programs in history. And if you're a fan of a team like that and you get a little energy and a little juice in your program, I'm kind of excited for you. So I'm rooting for these guys to, have a pretty good season. And boy, is he ever, man. The guy it's pretty phenomenal. It's an amazing story. And they are number 6, ahead of the defending national champion Michigan Wolverines, who sit at 7 in my power rankings, just ahead of Rutgers. So for Nebraska to come into Ohio Stadium undefeated, they're going to need to get past Rutgers. They're going to need to get past Indiana. And then we've got at number 9 and number 10, I got Illinois and Iowa. Let's go to the SEC power rankings per FanDuel. We've got Georgia number 1, which I don't know, man. Texas is number 2. Bama's number 3. Ole Miss is number 4. Tennessee number 5. I just can't get down with Tennessee being behind Ole Miss. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I really don't get it. Missouri number 6, Texas A&M number 7, ahead of number 8 LSU, who I think is just trash. Number 9 Oklahoma, about to get their doors blown off by Tennessee this weekend. Number 10 Arkansas. And my power rankings, I've got Texas number 1. I picked Texas to win the SEC in the preseason. A lot of the SEC fans just very disrespectful of Texas, saying that they couldn't handle the grind of the SEC, and they're not into it yet, right? We'll see what happens. They haven't had to get into that SEC schedule yet. But when you look at the talent, there's only 2 teams in that league that have the talent that they have. They've got the same quarterback. Bama and Georgia have the talent Texas has, that same talent level. Nobody else does in the SEC. But they think that just by virtue of playing in the SEC, somehow they're tougher than Texas, which is nonsense. And I'm no Texas fan, but when you look at the talent on the team, it's almost as if you took Ohio State and plopped them into the SEC and then took away a little bit of the talent, because Texas is not quite there, but certainly much more talented than teams like Ole Miss, Tennessee, Missouri, the other teams that are ranked up there. Number 2 for me is Tennessee. They haven't done it yet. I believe they will now. I really do. The way they played against NC State without Nico Iamaleava, that's a tough one, man. Iamaleava playing even very good was pretty impressive. I think they got a pretty all-around good team. They got dudes everywhere, which is really impressive because when you look at their recruiting classes, they've not been great, just top 15-ish. They've done a hell of a job developing down there. Number 3, I got Georgia. I do think Clemson may suck, right? I'm not so impressed by that Clemson win as I was week 1. Georgia looked really good. That Kentucky game, I keep hearing from these Georgia fans as if it's some defense. Like, well, we always play really bad at Kentucky. Okay, like what does that mean? Like that's just cool with you to always play bad at Kentucky? This is not a good Kentucky team. We've seen plenty of good Kentucky teams. This isn't one. That was horrific, man. That was really horrific. They should have lost that game. Totally embarrassing. Number 4, Alabama. I think this team's dangerous. They might be better than Georgia. And we're going to see next week. That's going to be a really interesting one. That game is going to be opposite the Ohio State-Michigan State game. So I think they're both at 8 o'clock, which I hate. I love the quad box. I know a lot of you guys love the quad box. But when it's a game that I'm really in tune in, or when it's a Buckeye game, I want a dedicated screen to that game. My brain just the attention diversion is just too much for the quad box when it's a game I really want to see. So I would have preferred that game not be opposite a Buckeye game, but it is what it is. We'll make it work. Number 5, Ole Miss, another really good and dangerous team, but we have not seen them line up against anybody yet. They have they put up 77 against an FCS team week 1, and everybody went bananas because Jackson Dart was just whipping it around the yard. Last week against Wake Forest, I think they won 41-6. Again, Wake Forest is terrible. So we'll see. Ole Miss not played anyone yet. Number 6, Missouri. Not incredibly impressive, but they just beat a ranked team last week in Boston College, 27-20. I don't think they look great. I don't know if they're as good as last year's squad, to be honest. Number 7, Texas A&M. Talented team. Mike Elko has them improving drastically week to week. We'll see what they can do. Number 8, South Carolina. That defensive front is monsters. Quarterback Lenora Sellers knocked out of the LSU game with a sprained ankle. I think that they've got the pieces to make some noise, at least be some upset. They're going to upset a couple people in that conference. They should have beaten LSU. They got some big-time wide receiver talent, definitely some potential to pull some big-time upsets. And number 9, Oklahoma, which is just embarrassing that Oklahoma, a blue blood, comes into this conference their very first year, and they've got things in such shambles. I've never been a believer in Brent Venables, and I think the thing about Venables is this guy stayed an assistant for so long when he had so many head coaching opportunities. and he just never left. And when you do that, it just makes me wonder, do you really have what it takes when you finally do it? I don't know that he does, but Joe Castiglione, the AD over at Oklahoma, has really invested in him. They got him a big old contract, and I'm just not so sure that he's the dude for them. They're struggling on the offensive line. It's going to be an interesting game when Tennessee comes in. Obviously, the two big games of this week, we've got Michigan USC at 3:30 on CBS, and we have got Tennessee heading in to Oklahoma. Josh Heupel, Tennessee's coach, of course, was the quarterback of the last Oklahoma national championship team. Also spent a lot of years there as an assistant coach with Brent Venables. These dudes know each other well, and this is going to be an interesting game for sure. But I just don't know if Oklahoma can hang. I really don't. Tennessee, very talented on the lines of scrimmage. Oklahoma, not so much this year. So we'll see. I don't know. Which game are you guys more excited for? Let me get to my sponsor first. Columbus Apparel Co. You guys can find a full line of Ohio and Columbus merchandise at Columbus Apparel Co., but they specialize in custom screen printing. I've done a ton of custom screen printing for work. Probably worked with 12 different companies over the course of my career, and it's just always something. That nothing is ever right. You might get a good shirt, but you'll have 3 or 4 of them will be shoddy printing out of your batch, and you might also get a nasty shirt that you didn't really like. It's scratchy. It doesn't fit well. There's a whole lot of differences. There's a million different kinds of shirts. Columbus Apparel Co. will walk you through the process. They'll send you shirt samples, and you can do it all with all this much better service for just as cheap as these other places, and even cheaper when you use the code JUCK20. So, ColumbusApparelCo.com, use JUCK20, get whatever you want. I would recommend you put some more time when you do custom printing shirts because you only get one shot. Anyway, we got a contest today. So congrats to Danielle B. Danielle B won our last Buckeyes shirt. And today, I do want to show you guys something. So check this out. Columbus Apparel Co. Teamed up, as I've told you about, with the Columbus Blue Jacket podcast, The Artillery. And they have now raised, check this out, $92,000 is what they have raised with those Johnny Hockey t-shirts. That is going to Johnny Hockey's brother, Matthew, whose wife is pregnant with their unborn son, Trip, and this money going to them, $92,000. Shout out to them. That is just flipping awesome, man. I absolutely love to see that. Happy to be sponsored by a company that cares like that. That really makes me cool. But the Buckeyes shirts, Danielle won the last one. Who's going to win the next one? Here is the question of the day. I've talked about this before on the show. When I was younger, I chose a team that I would root for every year. Had to be one team, had to be the same forever in each conference. Who was the team in the Big East? Chat does not count. It's got to be in the comment section so it's verifiable. In the comment section. The team in the Big East, you can only have one guess. Or maybe you remember what I said. But the winner will get the next Buckeyes shirt, as we've got a lot of those to give away, and it is a really nice shirt. Anybody who's got one will tell you. Columbus Apparel Co. hooked us up. We're talking soft, blend, really nice. The Buckeyes in the NFL went absolutely bananas this weekend, but the guy I feel the best for is J.K. Dobbins, man. J.K. Dobbins, absolute stud. This guy, often injured, and he's really showing out. Made some comments about Jim Harbaugh that were pretty funny, and then also says he loves his head coach. And I saw somebody say, like, how much Buckeye fans feel that he's saying he loves his head coach. Whatever, dude. I don't care. I'm happy for him that he plays for a head coach that he's getting along with, that and he's getting a lot of playing time and getting the ball a lot. Good for him. But I put out a poll yesterday, and we don't have a ton of votes, but in the past for the game, Ohio State and Michigan have played color on color, and somebody was playing the video game and they made the matchup color on color. So I put up a poll, like, what would you guys like to see color on color? And what I mean by color on color is Ohio State wears the scarlet jerseys, Michigan wears the blue jerseys. And is this the wrong picture without the results? 55% said yes, they would like to see color on color. 25% said I don't care, I just hate my rival. So more than not wanted to see a matchup of color on color. And again, this is something that we have done in the past. If you look at that picture on the bottom, the Snow Bowl there, and you can see that they've got their color on color on. I would absolutely love to see it. I would prefer just if we could have our gray sleeves back, but I could live with that. That would be pretty cool. And the Marvin JJ question last week, now up over 700 votes. And when we look at this, and again, this was this year only, you get to choose one of these. Freshman JJ, senior Marv, who you got? JJ 55, Marv 45. And I think that we can go, the stipulations, by the way, you only get them for this year. You can't pick JJ and say, because I get him for the next 2 years. It's just for this year, and then they vanish off the face of the earth in this hypothetical scenario. So I'm going to go ahead and say that recency bias, this is about dead even, because some of us are just incredibly biased with whatever's going on right now. All right, so what is our schedule this week? Our TV schedule, the best games we got for the slates of games, and we will go into these games, a couple of the big ones, a little more in-depth tomorrow. But let's familiarize ourselves with the slate. We got 60 total college football games. 15 of them have a little bit of a storyline or a little bit of an interesting matchup. And these are the ones that I'll be checking out, basically the games I would watch if they were standalone on a Friday night, for instance. Let's go through them. We start off Friday night, the one we've talked about, with Nebraska, Illinois. At the same time, we've also got Kyle McCord and Syracuse taking on Stanford. The McCord, Fran Brown, Syracuse story, it's one of the biggest in college football. Kyle McCord potentially being in the Heisman race. People are loving this story. I'm with it. I'm rooting for the dude. I'm watching him show some gusto on the sideline. I like it. I like to see it. I hope that things work out for him. I know that, a lot of people, I think it's more his dad that they're irritated by. And obviously, that dude sounds like a real piece of work, but definitely rooting for the kid. And certainly interesting if the Nebraska-Illinois game doesn't go off very well. I'm definitely going to tune into that. Also, later on Friday night, San Jose goes into Washington State. Now, Washington State, last week in the Apple Cup, they got a quarterback that is absolutely electric. And I was hoping to get to see him again and thought, well, these guys are playing a Mountain West schedule. We're never going to see this guy again. So pretty exciting if you're staying up to check out this quarterback at Washington State. I think he's awesome. We start off the day on Saturday, obviously, with our Buckeyes and Marshall on Big Noon Kickoff. And the good news is there is really no other great games going on at that time, so we can pretty much focus in. We've got number 21 Clemson hosting NC State on ABC. NC State just got pounded by Tennessee in a neutral site game. Can number 21 Clemson cover 20.5 points? I don't know. They're at Death Valley. I've been to Death Valley during a day game. You want to talk about a boring environment. Clemson is it. And everything about Clemson is just boring. It's small, it's tiny, not impressed at all. We also got Billy Napier, guys. Billy Napier, I got to show you a video. This is a fan of Florida, a podcaster. And what he's going to do is explain to us how they can get rid of Billy Napier. All right, you ready? Pay attention.
And Strickland, in a sense, should be in his own bubble. But clearly these two are in bed with each other, because this is ultimately now what control the decision, because I don't know if this guy is going to have the kahunas to fire this bubble here. Now, this bubble, the booster bubble, I don't know how much power they're going to have. They have to come together. This is the money. This is the train right here that have to come together to influence this, ultimately this man's decision to affect this bubble, right? This is what has to happen, I think. Because I don't know if, again, this guy has to have the kahunas. I think he might be in bed with this a little bit too, from what we're hearing.
Did you get all that? What? Okay, so that is how they're apparently going to get rid of Billy Napier. Florida heading into Mississippi State. Florida just a 6.5-point favorite, and they were a 4.5-point favorite. That's moved to 6.5. Yeah, that is a team in Mississippi State that Toledo just beat by 22. The fact that Florida is just a 6.5-point favorite pretty much says it all, man. That's just humiliating. But we've also got one of the more interesting storylines of the year, Indiana. Charlotte heading into Indiana. Kurt Signetti and the Hoosiers, they're absolutely going to kill Charlotte. These dudes got an offense that puts up a lot of points. At 12:45, we got the Ohio Bobcats heading into Lexington, Kentucky, which I find pretty interesting. I want to see how the Bobcats play against Kentucky. They're pretty good this year. Kentucky, a 20.5-point favorite. And again, the team that just played Georgia tough. Let's see what the Bobcats can do with them. We saw South Carolina and Georgia struggle. South Carolina destroyed them. Georgia struggled. That should be pretty interesting. ESPN, we've got Iowa State -21 hosting Arkansas State. That's the team that Michigan just beat by 10 points. Interested to see what Iowa State does against them. At 3:30, I was just saying yesterday how I was confused with these two names. So whenever I hear Kent State or Penn State, I have to listen really intuitively. And at 3:30, those guys will play. I want to see how Drew Aller and Penn State bounces back after playing really tight against Bowling Green. Mm-hmm. Kent State just lost 71-0 to Tennessee. So we should see an absolute bloodbath. If we don't, something's going on at Penn State. They're a 48.5-point favorite. They should absolutely destroy these guys. So we'll see. At 3:30, we got two headliners. USC heading into Michigan. Cannot wait. USC, a 5.5-point favorite now. I don't know what you guys are thinking about this game. We now found out that Cam Newton is starting at quarterback. I'm sorry, Alex Orji is starting at quarterback. You know, this is like this guy, Sherrone Moore. We hear all offseason that Cam Newton is the dude. I'm sorry, not Cam Newton, Alex Orji. Alex Orji is the dude. And he is going to be amazing. That's what we were told. He's going to be the next Cam Newton. The guy doesn't win the job because this guy who was going to be a 5-star until he got cancer, that's what I was told. He was going to be a 5-star until he got cancer. He's actually just tearing it up. And he is going to come in and absolutely torch it. So he comes in, Davis Warren, and he's dreadful. He's so bad that they're now going back to Alex Orji to play against USC. And when you have to ask the head coach a question like this, like, you got problems, dude.
Just kind of function by themselves.
So, from a comfortability,
Davis Warren started the first 3 games. You're moving to Alex Orji. Turnovers obviously jump out, but what went into the decision to make Alex the starter and name him at the beginning of the week?
Yeah, I think, from a comfortability standpoint, for us, we can't turn the ball over. We know we got to do that. We got to take care of the football. That's the number one thing, especially with our quarterback. So that was a huge point of emphasis. And when Orji won the game, he took care of it. And, he gives you something in the offense that is a little different, but just feel good with him, and the team will be confident in him.
For people that say, well, what are you doing putting in a quarterback who can't throw the ball? Do you want to assure everybody that Alex Orji can indeed throw the football?
Yeah, I think they'll find out real quick that he can throw the football.
Yeah, we're going to find out real quick, bud. Listen, I saw somebody comment, this is the Michigan Obsessed podcast. Let me tell you something. You guys have been so awful to deal with for a year. Please believe that we are going to get ours, okay? Yeah, you're damn right we're going to get ours. if they lose this game to USC, they're guaranteed to go 8-4, and we'll see if they lose another one. But cannot wait to see this guy. It's going to be beautiful. It's absolutely going to be beautiful. Welcome to the rivalry. I know some of you just jumped on board 3 years ago. Welcome in. Nice to meet you. Now it's our turn. Cannot wait, man. Cannot wait. It's an absolute shambles. They look horrible. Their superstar, Samaj, whatever the hell his name is, that guy sucks. He's got like 2 catches. He's horrible. Everything about it's horrible. The right tackle is a big stiff. I think his name's Link, which is perfect. Link, the big stiff. Their centers suck. They put a second one and he sucked worse. It's great, dude. The line is up to 19.5 against Ohio State. 19.5. Listen, this is funny. I think this is part of the problem. Check this out.
And how we do things, because he does a really good job.
Lincoln Riley also said about you guys, about this Michigan program, I think it was back in February, he wants to emulate at USC the way that Michigan built its program the last few years. Hearing that, what does that mean to you, and what do you have to say about the job that they've done at USC building the last couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, I think I got a lot of respect for Lincoln going back to Oklahoma, really going back to ECU when he was there, and what he does on offense, but now what he's done with the defense and how he's built his culture. So a lot of respect for him and what he's done. So it means a lot that he said that.
Yeah. Well, guess what? You didn't build it, pal. You might have been part of it. This is the problem. This is a totally different staff. This is a whole new regime. They think they're the old regime, as do their fan base. Listen, I've never had so many Michigan fans. I want to tell you this. So I made that video about Sherrone Moore the other day, and Sherrone Moore being the wrong choice, not ready for it. They thought it was just going to keep on rolling. He's a G5 caliber coach, maybe lower level ACC, whatever. That should have been his first job. I'm not saying he won't be a great coach. He very well may be. I like the guy. I got a lot of respect for him. He just isn't ready for this. He's not ready. It's clear by how he's handled the quarterback situation. Like that, just on the surface level. There's a whole lot of other stuff. But when you look at this trying to act like everything's still rolling from the Harbaugh regime, it's not. It's totally different. It's totally different. And every step of the way, we're going to continue to see them trying to act like that. They're not. But the video I made the other day, last time when I said it, that he was a G5 head coach, I got destroyed. They were everywhere. They were after me, like coming from all angles. I had podcasters making videos about it, showing it in it. Furious. What an idiot I was to say such a thing. Brought it up last week again. Crickets, bro. Crickets. Matter of fact, they were agreeing with me. They were agreeing with me in my comments. They were agreeing with me on the Twitter feed. Like they were like, unfortunately, he's right. Yeah, he is a good man. I don't have any problem with Sherrone Moore, the man. I don't want to make it sound like I'm attacking him, the man. I think he is a good man. Michigan fans can't wait to watch USC trounce Michigan, and they will. They want him out. They want a reset button. The thing is, like, I don't understand how you didn't see this coming. This was not the way to go if you lost the whole staff. If you kept the staff, I'm with it. That might have worked. But when the staff was going, anyway. Yeah, but you're damn right. I'm going to exact my pound of flesh every chance I get. When you're in the trenches like I am every day, yeah, these folks were awful to deal with. They were on a one-on-one basis. I love them all, right? Like they're usually really cool, but as a group collectively, horrible, horrible, horrible. Anyway, we got Arizona State, Texas Tech, both of them 3-0. That might be interesting. That's at 4:00. Utah heads to Oklahoma State. That's a banger right there. Utah, I think they're ranked number 12. Oklahoma State, number 14. Kyle Whittingham, Mike Gundy, two of my favorite coaches, two very underrated coaches, though I think Kyle Whittingham now is getting the appropriate praise. Mike Gundy is not. Mike Gundy has had like 7, 10+ win seasons. He's been fantastic since he's been in Oklahoma State. Been there forever now. And the Big 12, I thought heading into the season was going to be one of the more exciting races for the championship. It just keeps getting better and better. UCF, that UCF TCU game was fantastic. UCF is now just coming into the Big 12, and they are in position. You got Gus Malzahn really building that program up. Crazy amount of investment, tons of new facilities. Things are going really well at UCF. So the Big 12, despite not having marquee teams that can really win the national championship, really, really good football, a whole lot of fun. So I'm excited about that. Kansas State at 10:30 in a standalone game with BYU. Kind of excited to see that. I want to see Avery Johnson again. The kid is a dynamic athlete. I mean, dynamic. Really fun to watch run the ball. The way he passes the ball, I still think that they might have made a mistake getting rid of Will Howard. And it just seems to me like they've got all the pieces and together to potentially have made a run at this playoff, win that conference and make the playoff. And they let Will Howard go. I don't get it. Then, of course, the headliner, Tennessee, heading into Oklahoma. Oklahoma's first ever SEC game. I totally forgot that. But yeah, their fans are absolutely going bananas. Tennessee fans have been extremely arrogant heading into this game. So I think I'll probably be rooting for Oklahoma because I don't like the Tennessee fans. And I've talked to my buddy Luke about the Tennessee fans. He says they're much better, not online. So I don't know them in person, but he says they're much better in person than they are online. Anyway, that's about it. That's what we got today for the show, guys. Let's get to a couple of your comments. Yo, what's up, Doreen? Mika, how we doing? Dago in the house? What's up, Dave? Is Cam Rising eligible for pension? So Cam Rising, finger laceration in game 1, sat out game 2. He's in his 7th season. Interestingly enough, he's going up against Oklahoma State, their quarterback, also in his 7th season of college football. It is crazy eligibility is not a thing anymore. Like, it doesn't even exist. It seems like they can always find a way to get out of it. I don't understand it at all. I've heard people say it's a good thing. Blue Wolverine says USC can't possibly prepare for our play packages because we don't even know what they are. See, there you go. Blue Wolverine, great guy by himself. Actually, he's even a great guy in the crowd. Richie Dubs says Ole Miss dropped a camo helmet. Starting to think they have the coldest uniform game in the sport. They do good, man. They do good. And this was the most recent helmet that the JUCK on Buckers voted on to bring into the studio, into JUCK studio. And I love this helmet. The color on TV does not quite look like the color in person. I think it's gorgeous. I think it's really gorgeous. So I'm really happy that you guys voted on that. It might be time to vote on a new helmet if you guys want to start putting up nominations for the most recent helmet. I just got a message from Dylan that I just checked when I was playing that last video. Apparently, the Juckster didn't send Dylan the link. So, sorry about that, Dill. So Dylan, I'll bring on tomorrow. Hopefully he can make it with me tomorrow. The good news is he gets to go and play, or he gets to go talk to a bunch of players today too, as well. So we'll have even more to talk about, which will be great. Woody's thinks Indiana will probably be favored against SCUM, which we'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Raphael says, Zach made a good point. Terrible idea to announce this early. USC knows what to prepare for. No, I don't. And he was getting absolutely crushed for that yesterday, Sherrone Moore, for announcing that Alex Orji was going to be the starter over Davis Warren. He was getting crushed everywhere and that, there was no need. Why? You know what I mean? Absolutely no need. But that little interview there, that was hilarious. Asking him for all the people who think he can't throw. I love it. It's just me. Tim thinks he's just making it more confusing. You can look at it that way too. Dago drove past Clemson a few times off 85. It's a cute little campus, man. It's a tiny little joint. Very, very tiny. It was a fun game day experience, but when we talk about like in the worlds of big time football, like even just the tailgate scene, maybe like 1/10 the size of like big time Big Ten tailgate scenes, just really, really different. It felt to me like if you had a MAC school that had a ton of passion, that's kind of what in a better stadium. Stadium was cool though. The way this feels really open, and it was really sunny, really hot. So hot that my wife Nina and Rocco had to go into the concourse for like the whole second half because it was so hot and sweaty, which is gross. Steven nailed it. Syracuse. Steven, I know I said the comments, but I said in the comments, but I don't know. I'm so impressed that you're going to have to email me at JUCK for your new Buckeye shirt because you nailed it. It was Syracuse. Syracuse was the team I rooted for in the Big East growing up. It was Syracuse, the Orange Men, and I will always call them the Orange Men, not the Orange. They're the Orange Men. So there we go. The Cuse. Hey, Jeff, what's up, Goomba? Disdained Rogue thinks Bama's going to rock Georgia like Oregon did Oregon State. As of now, I'm with you. I think Bama's going to win that game. Dave says he does not think we should be playing a MAC team at night. I'm absolutely with you, Dave. I cannot stand playing these garbage teams at night. It drives me nuts. I want those games played at noon. I want to watch the week's big games at night. I hate it. Boy, Dylan's going to be mad. Donovan McNabb thrown to Kevin Johnson in 98 Syracuse. Good times, buddy. And then we got KJ in Cleveland. Good times. Matt thinks the new Ole Miss helmet looks more tie-dye than camo, man. I got to pull this sucker up. Can't. Camo. Well, this is interesting. Wonder how fast I can get this up on the screen. There we go. What do we think, guys? I understand what Matt's saying. It does look a funky kind of tie-dye. I don't know. I can't tell if I love it or hate it. I can't tell. What are we thinking, guys? Love it or hate it? Yeah, Mika doesn't think that's camo. I think you're right. Yeah, I got to see it with the uniform. Did they have the full uniform? this is something that Georgia folks bring up all the time. Dave says, I still wonder if JMO doesn't get hurt against Georgia in that championship game. Hear it often. Shane, is this the one you're talking about? This one? Or the baby blue or powder blue in that camo helmet? I could talk uniforms all day. What do we think of the gray? Buckeyes are going to be wearing the gray for Iowa. Now, I love what they're doing with. So what I don't like is, I want to say I don't like them. I have liked the look of most of the alt uniforms that Ohio State has done. But I love that they're doing basically the same exact uniform template and then just changing the colors. So we can do the gray or we can do the black, but the same template of the uniform. I'm all for that. And I think that they can, even if they even did way more often, change the color of the red pants or the black jersey, whatever. If they alternated that up like the Browns do, just sometimes wear the orange pants, sometimes wear the brown pants or the white pants. If they rotated that, I'd be totally fine with it. Rod, this has been a big one that people have requested in here, the Oklahoma State helmets, for sure. It finished, I don't know, maybe fourth on the last voting when we did the voting. But I had script Cowboys. It was black with script Cowboys. It was matte. I liked it. I'm with Richie here. Richie likes the black uniforms, but not the black helmet. Now, to my recollection, we've not seen the black uniform with the regular helmet, and I want to see that. I really want to see what that looks like. The interesting thing is, Craig likes the black Buckeyes helmet. In the video game, I had my kids sit there and go through all the different combinations for me just to see what they looked like. There was a couple of them. Thank you, Steve. There was a couple of them that were very, I thought would look nice that didn't actually look nice. And then there was a couple that I never imagined would look good, but did look really good. But I would be all for them doing those combinations. What's up, Dev? IO. So. Did I just do that? Hey, let's have a like ski on the video ski. How about that, fellas? And do we like this 9:30 live format? Do we like this better than the regular show? I don't know, but I know you guys have asked me for a long time to do these live more often. So I try to accommodate and do these lives. And if you could, please like the video for me. I'd very much appreciate that. Share the video, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to Menace, subscribe to JUCK on Bucks as well. That's how, the channel grows and how you grow your brand and all that jazz. And not that that's the most important thing. The most important thing is having fun talking about college football and making friends. But that is also pretty cool to go along with it, because if I didn't, that didn't happen to me in the beginning, I wouldn't have been, be on Menace and great things have happened, but that's got to continue. So Terry says recruits like alternate uniforms. They sure do. They love them. They go nuts over them. And we listened to Will Stein, Oregon's offensive coordinator, who says, when I go visit kids, like they all say Oregon is one of my favorite teams or my favorite team. And, that is damn near 100% tied to the swag, right? Almost 100%. Not just that, I would say you could also throw in the color combination, the standard, not this green, but that lighter Kelly green and the yellow. It's just eye-catching. It really is. It's eye-catching. It's unique. And all the different, I think for a while there, they went off on the wrong way with their uniform combinations. They got a little too wild. a little too, it wasn't good. Now what they're doing right now, I love. I really do. Shepherd Ducks, D'Anthony Thomas and Mariota. Regular helmet full of Buckeyes, scarlet, top, black pants. Oh, regular helmet full of Buckeyes, scarlet top, black pants. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, Shane. Mix up the jersey and the pant color. I'm totally with it. So, Dev, we got gray for Iowa. We know that for sure. And if they're doing gray for Iowa, then I don't think they're going to do blacks. Shepherd Duck says, yeah, we were going wild with them, and Cristobal stopped it. He made them calm down with the jerseys. You know what? I knew there was a reason I liked Cristobal. It was just getting a little ridiculous for a while there. A little ridiculous. And they weren't even good. They weren't. When they were going with the fly, is it the fly stuff? Like all the threads everywhere. It just didn't even look good at all to me. Is Sparty not a blackout? Asked Rod. Rod, I hadn't heard that. I had not heard that. Michigan State games at night. Trying to think of some good Michigan State games at night. We had that one against Wisconsin where Kirk Cousins threw that. Remember that Kirk Cousins throws that bomb at the end of the game, and Michigan State gets tackled at like the 2-inch line, or was it Wisconsin that got tackled at the 2-inch line? That was a night game at Michigan State. Pretty cool atmosphere. I'm telling you, that Aiden Child is fun to watch. We're going to have fun watching him. Dago likes white top, black or scarlet pants. Yeah, we need to see more of this. Shane likes the cocaine whites with the original helmet. I think that is absolutely beautiful. I put that on the front of a thumbnail that I did with Ohio State and Oregon when I first did the breakdown of those two. I had Eugene Stadium in the background. I had a little Oregon fella and a little Buckeye fella. And the Buckeye fella had the cocaine whites, regular helmet. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I think there's a lot of people that would be straight up, yes, let's switch to that instead of our standard pants. I'm not going to go that far, but I wouldn't mind seeing those a couple times a year. And I think that as we've now gotten so used to this, alternate uniforms, like there was a time 10 years ago when there was a large portion of Ohio State fans who absolutely despised the alternate uniforms. They would have been smarter to introduce the ones that they have now, which are basically just a different color. They're not a totally different uniform, and eased it in like that. Well, now everybody's all used to that, right? The anger's gone away. So now when you do this, you can do it more than once a year. It's the same uniform. It's the same template. The all white is straight heat, Richie says. Mika wants to see a candy apple. Terry, what are we putting up? When you get this helmet, when you look close at this helmet, the paint, it is so beautiful. It is so sparkly and gorgeous. I just love it. I just love it. It's a beautiful helmet. It really is gorgeous. By the way, you know what I had? Columbus Apparel Company, I gave them an official Buckeye leaf, and he made me a pile of them for myself. I've got so many Buckeye leaves. He's awesome. It is the best helmet in sports. And the transition that it goes through from no Buckeye leaves to half Buckeye leaves, which is what I always struggle with. So the one on the wall up here, that's half Buckeye leaf, which is a really hard look. And then here I just couldn't stop because it's really addictive to put the Buckeye leaves on. Devin says Peacock sucks. Peacock really sucks when you forget to cancel it, which means I paid $50 for whatever Buckeye game was on there last year. But there was one show I think I went back on and watched. So it was like that girl. She was one of the girls from American Pie, and she's got some special skill. She's like a detective or something, but not really a detective. She's kind of like a scrub, like a vagabond. And it was pretty fun show. Oh my gosh. Yo, Shepherd Ducks. I don't know if you know this, but you've seen my flags. So I've got flags all over here. Like over here, Ohio State, Georgia, Texas. I got Washington. I got Auburn, Ole Miss, LSU, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Clemson, Michigan State, Tulane. The reason I got Tulane is because one of my buddies is going to law school at Tulane, but I have a Tulane flag, and their colors are gorgeous. I think they're beautiful uniforms. Ray says, Juck, I love the show, but I can't deal with the Menace platform, so have a nice life. That's what I would say if I were totally lame. Menace rocks. Believe it or not, Ray, I've been told that before, buddy. I've had people leave me because of that, even though you can watch it over on the Juck Bucks platform as well. But yes, I've lost a lot of people. It's turned off a lot of people to me personally. I've received a lot of nasty emails, and it sucks. I don't like it, but what are you going to do, man? What are you going to do? I guess I didn't really understand that. I did not, because they hate Zach, man. There is a large faction of people that just do not like him at all. And because I put my show on Menace, they just like, I really like you, but I'm sorry, I'm not going to deal with this. And I'm like, the show's available on Juck on Bucks. Like, I can't support you anymore because you're affiliated with him. It's like, I mean, all right, dude, but I've had some of them try to give me some kind of come to Jesus. Like, you need to reevaluate your decisions in life. And that at that point, now it's like, okay, I was nice at first. Now take a hike. Goodbye. But you can't talk somebody out of when they've already got to that point. They're dug in. Their heels are dug in, and they think that they know everything about Zach. Like, all I can say is like, I think he is a really good guy, and he's treated me well, and he's treated my wife well, and he's nice to be around. He's never said no to me whenever I asked him something. I asked him if I can use his, the film breakdowns like on the show. Absolutely. Just been a really solid dude to me. And, as you guys know, Chris is a good friend. But what are you going to do, man? Everybody's got their opinions. And when it comes to that actual case, like, I knew that case was total nonsense, or, before I ever, I wasn't a Menace Army guy, but I had been listening to the show since it was podcast form, and he had a beard, you know what I mean? Like, not religiously, but there was nothing about that case that I bought from day one, dude. Like, to be honest, I hated the way that all went down, but there are some people that hold Urban leaving against him. And like, it's mind blowing to me. I probably shouldn't even get into all of this. I probably should just shut the hell up. But they call Zach fans, or Menace fans in general, like Trumpians, and just like a sick cult, or the swine of the Ohio State fan base. I'm just like, dude, I don't understand. And it almost reminds me of the shit with the stuff with the quarterback stuff, right? Like, so you like a quarterback at Ohio State, you like Devin Brown, or you like Kyle McCord. So now all of a sudden you're going to hate the other guy. And that's kind of the way it feels about how people judge Menace to Sports. if you're an Ohio State fan and you're into this kind of world where you follow podcasts or you follow shows, and keep in mind, like all of this is a small, very small portion of the Ohio State fan base that follows these kind of shows that we're all in on. Like all of us, in the group on Twitter, like, we're a small group of the Ohio State fans. Eric with the dirty comment, but thank you. Thank you, E. Good to see you this morning, buddy. I lost my train of thought, but the point is, I'm not going anywhere. I'm very happy. Chris is my buddy. Zach's been good to me. I've put in, I don't know, I started the show in January and probably put in 40 hours of work a week on the show from then to now. Like, this didn't just happen. Like, there was a lot of work put into this, a lot of money put into this as well. And I didn't do this to make money. Obviously, you can say that, but the truth is, yes, everybody would like to be paid for their efforts, right? And you've got to get to a certain level before you can make money off of it. And now I'm at that level, and it's nicer. Things are less stressful with my wife and with my family when I'm putting so much money into this, when I could say, well, at least I'm bringing home a little bacon. You know what I'm saying? So if anybody's got a problem with that, they can just, oops, sorry. But anyway, you guys don't want to hear about that. Maybe you do. I don't know. Dude's got the best sense of humor ever, man. Point to the spot on the doll where Zach hurt you. He said. Yeah, that's the thing, Mika. I don't do politics. I don't talk politics at all here, and I never will. Like, that's not, you will never know where I stand. I will never insinuate it. That's some stuff I don't want to get into. I can't stand it. I have avoided it for the last year and a half, maybe even longer. And my life has honestly been so much better since I have made an effort to remove any kind of political stuff from it. Like, just mentally, everything's better. And I can't even tell you how nice it is, man. Thank you, Terry. Appreciate you, buddy. Terry sent me that message last night of that Ole Miss picture I pulled up. Not Ole Miss picture. The Ohio State. This one. Terry, what is your take on this? I didn't get your message back before the show. What is your opinion on what that means? Do you guys have an opinion on what that means? Are they just saying night game, or is there something more to that? I don't know. Matt, all whites with a white helmet with stickers from the black helmet, assuming they're transparent. Let's find out, buddy. They are not transparent, but they can be made transparent because these are thick 3M stickers. The ones on the standard helmet are white. It's a white background with the green. The ones on the black are all black with a red, but it's a big, thick 3M, so it could be clear for sure. Yeah, they could definitely make that clear. Jeffrey, thank you, buddy. I appreciate you, man. The helmet? Oh, Craig, the week leading to the Buckeyes Oregon is going to be unbelievable. I am absolutely going to. We're probably going to stream so much. I think what I want to start doing is streaming on like during college football Saturday, like while we're watching games. So if you guys want to pop in here and chat, I'm going to be in here Saturday during. The tweet, Rod. Yeah, I got it, buddy. I'm going to be in here streaming. So during the Michigan USC game, we will. I'll be in here. I'm going to pull it up live. If anyone wants to come pop in and chat. It looks like there is a fella, and the fella is in the middle of like a room, and there are, some lights. So that's a guy in the middle there. I don't know what it's trying to tell us. It's certainly trying to tell us something. I don't like the cryptic stuff. Like, just make an announcement, bro. Rod says, to me, that suggests a new uni, possible blackout. That was my first thought. Then I sent it to Dillon, and Dillon was like, well, they already announced that they're going to be going with grays. So, I don't know. I don't know what's up. But I did find out. Dago says blackout. Is that a guess? Or did you hear something, buddy? Scooch, what's up, bro? Scooch says, looks like a New Jersey reveal. If it is a New Jersey reveal, those usually leak. Don't you feel like we would have seen already? Like, they just cannot keep those secret. Like, there's never been a time where they've run out on the field and we're like, oh my God. Like, we always see those, a couple weeks in advance. They're definitely wearing gray, like, or they have definitely announced at one point that they are wearing gray. Yes. Rod thinks the grays would look good in the Michigan game on the road. Yeah, I'd be all for it. So if the other team was wearing color and the Buckeyes were wearing gray, I'd be all for that for sure. That would be cool. It's a sponsor on the jersey, Jack. Let's get into it. So, Tennessee, as you know, were the first ones to sign away the rights to the stadium naming stuff, but they're not going to change the name. The name is Neyland Stadium. You want to talk about a beautiful helmet. The camera is probably not going to be able to see this, but there are little like blue specks in here, little light blue specks. Gorgeous. Tennessee, Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Browns, bought Pilot Flying J, bought the Tennessee rights. He's not changing the name to Neyland Stadium, just putting up Pilot signs, which is awesome of him because Neyland Stadium, the name means something to him. His dad played for Neyland. So shout out Jimmy Haslam. Cool move there. Everything else, you suck. Now, also some new news out of Tennessee came yesterday. Some new news out of Tennessee came yesterday. What the heck was the news? I already forgot. Oh, Tennessee is raising ticket prices 10%, calling it a talent fee. And the money now to the players was going to be $20 million that the schools were going to have to give to the players. It's now gone up with the raise in scholarships from 85 to 105. It's going to go up to roughly $30 million. And this increase at Tennessee is going to bring them in another $10 million of revenue. They're calling it the talent fee. And he compared it to adding a gratuity at a restaurant to a large party. Now, I don't think he knows why that's done because it doesn't really apply to here. The analogy makes no sense at all. But I will tell you this. Danny White, Ross Bjork is not going to allow him to have all these headlines. Like Ross is definitely coming in to steal some thunder. And I think that we will see something pretty soon. Ross Bjork is going to do something similar. CKM Tigers, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. RDB says they can just call it inflation. Yeah, dude, he's calling it this, trying to make everybody feel better about the higher ticket prices. It's pretty funny. So Ray says Urban being forced out was a blessing in disguise. His style, and that's just the honest truth too. Like that was obviously not good for him, and not good for Zach, and not good for certain people's relationships. And that sucks that it went down that way. But from an Ohio State football perspective, Urban kind of moving out, and how else would that have ended, right? Who knows? But it was probably best for Ohio State football that things moved on. There's a lot of revisionist history about how things went under, towards the end of Urban's regime. A lot of things Urban did that people were really getting furious about, right? There just was. A lot of people thought things were passing him by. So I would like to know who is going to the Oregon game. I talked to one guy yesterday who is going to the Oregon game. And if you are going to the Oregon game, please email us pictures at JUCKOnBucks at Gmail so that we can post your pictures here on the show. Anybody who goes, send me some pictures. Yeah, Urban had a bad track record of hiring crappy assistants. I feel like Ryan Day has absolutely destroyed, just killed it. This staff at Ohio State right now is unbelievable. It's just crazy. It's so good. Hangry Vet, what's up, bro? Nice to see you. Nice to see you this morning, my friend. RDB says, how long before they replace Orji with Tuttle and so on? Because their coaching staff is just as bad as the talent they have in Michigan. Yeah, I mean, is Tuttle healthy? I don't know. Tuttle, this journeyman, I find it so funny, man. I find it all so funny. It's just wonderful. Anyway, guys, 127.42. Your boy rolled today. I appreciate you all so much. Please like your video on the way out if you have not yet. We're going to call it a morning session at this point, and I will be back tomorrow on Thursday. Hopefully Dylan can join me. I'm going to reach out to Dylan as soon as I get out of here, and it is a great day to be a Buckeye. As always, RDB, Raphael, we'll see you, buddy, all my friends. You guys are great. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me on a Wednesday morning, a game week Wednesday morning. The Buckeyes play Marshall, which is awesome. Randy Moss, Marshall, J.J. Smith, Ohio State. You see where I'm going here? All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Talk to you later. Juck and Bucks out.